Hello, everyone. A very, very happy International Women's Day to all of you. I'm Anupama Kapoor, the founder at Reboot. I'm thrilled to be able to bring to you a new speaker series to mark the occasion of International Women's Day. And we are kickstarting the series today with Dr. Sujatha Sudheendran, who is the head HR and admin at Aditya Birla Capital Finance Limited and also the head DNI at Aditya Birla Capital. And I'm going to quickly refer to my notes now because she's very accomplished. So, in a career spanning over 20 years, Dr. Sujatha has worked with multiple organizations like Procter & Gamble, ITC, and Fortis Healthcare. She's a PhD in psychology and also an MBTI practitioner. And if that wasn't enough, she runs marathons to support causes. So welcome to Reboot, Dr. Sujatha, and also to What's Gender Got to Do with It.
Thank you very much, Anupama. It's a pleasure to you all here.
Great, super. So I'm going to jump right in. Typically I would ask a business leader a question like, what's the secret of your success? But since we are calling this session, what's gender got to do with it? I'm going to ask you, what's the secret of your super successful career being a woman?
I do not know if it's a super successful career because for me, whatever I wanted to do, I was very clear, fairly enough that I will be doing it. It does not mean that I did not have any challenges, but I never restricted myself. I will not do this because I'm a woman. So let me give you an example. I got married pretty early, had kids, and of course I was working for quite some time. And my husband had a transferable job, Anupama. So I would always say, you're uprooting me. And that was very strong feeling in me that whenever you have another opportunity, baggage, you have to move along with kids. But I always wanted to do a PhD. That was there. So my husband, when we moved to Delhi, he said, why don't you do your research? I said, I am very clear, I don't want to take up another job because this is an opportunity. I will do my research, which means I have to not look for a job, and economically I have to depend on him, which is very, very difficult for a person who's been economically independent. So even for example, I did about 12-13 years back, Anupama, even for Xerox money, if I have to ask, it is difficult. Not that he will not give or give, that's another thing. I did not want to. He said, it's fair enough. We can support each other. And I, of course, started my PhD. When I started my PhD, I already had 2 kids, which means I had to do the household work, send the kids to school, and go to my college. So it wasn't easy. So I started taking tuitions. I still remember I would take tuitions for lower kindergarten students, and in the evening I would teach for MSc.
Wow.
That spectrum I would go through, but I never thought because of my gender I'm going through. I said, this is my goal. I have to just focus on the goal and say, what is not working, what will make it work. And one very good piece of advice I had received, of course, after joining Aditya Birla Group from a great consultant, she said, Sujatha, when you have a purpose in life now, you have to ensure that all your other jobs, which are manual jobs, you please outsource. Don't try to be a perfect mother, perfect wife, perfect daughter-in-law. Doesn't work. Focus your energies on purpose.
Great. So these are great inputs, Dr. Sujatha, and multiple threads you touched upon. So, when I say a successful career for a woman, I must qualify what I mean. What I mean is that somehow in our society, men are able to, focus pretty much single-handedly, blinkers on their careers, whereas women say they are they are married, they have multiple tracks they are supposed to focus on, right? The whole multitasking myth around women. There's a track for the career, there's a track for the elders, there's a track for children, there's a track for the house, and if you're privileged enough, there's a track for your domestic help as well.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I meant. It's always challenging, and like you just said, you were studying, you were teaching, you were managing the house, you were managing 2 kids. So, you already have 5 tracks before you really took on a big time career. So that's what I really meant. But yeah, this is great inputs that if we have the purpose, then, we can if we decide what is the key purpose for us, what is the driver for us, then everything else kind of can follow.
Yeah.
Great. That's good to know. And you speak about this, and now we've spent a whole year. Thankfully, we've stopped saying because of COVID as much as we were last year. But now in 2021, we are looking at 1 year of a really bad economy where there's been a severe job loss. But I want to focus on the severe job loss for women. It's been really hard for women globally, right? One, because they've been laid off and they've been the first ones to be laid off in an organization. Secondly, many women, and I know some accomplished women personally, who are giving up their career because they want to spend time with the children who spend 1 year in online education, which is really not working. I have team members who have young kids who have to sit in front of the computer with their kids. Without that, they are not able to study. So, it is really demanding on women. So, what do you think we should focus on, and what should is the focus on women important in this scenario?
You're right. I think across the globe, women are the most, they were impacted. Nearly 27% of women lost their jobs. In
Yes.
27% of women losing their job, it is at least 15% unlikely that these women are now going to return back to the workforce. Not possible. Because you're very right. See, for a man, if he's going to work from home, he will get up, go for his walk, have his breakfast, and log in. But for a woman, she has to ensure that for all the help that she was getting externally, she has to do it herself. I'll manage, no problem. She has to do it herself and log in, which is very, very difficult. Now, when the job scenario has marginally increased, but the traditional kind of jobs will definitely not help her where, she has to log in at 9 o'clock. I think most of the organization now have understood that DNI is the trust area. Okay, and they have to, they will give a lot of opportunities for women to work from home. But that also, Anupama, is just half battle that is won. How will you now help women to reskill themselves, and work on the capabilities which they lost? So platforms, definitely, like Reboot is a great opportunity, I think, to rebuild their skills, get back the confidence, and very importantly, networking. I think women have to work so much on networking, because networking is the last priority, because there are other priorities. For men, it is job and networking.
Right. Right.
So,
It's the
you know,
whole. Sorry, go ahead.
and I think Reboot, again, it'll give a lot of opportunities for women to explore careers which they had not thought about.
Right, right. True that. And thankfully, we are now approaching the world where in India, where we are accepting gig economy slowly. So flexible part-time, assignments, projects. When I want to take them, and when for example, if my kids have an exam next month, I can take projects which end this month, so that for the exam month I'm available. So that's one way women are learning to manage all their aspirations, in terms of what their ambitions are with their children, spending quality time with them, and also fulfilling your economic aspirations.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. So you spoke about DNI getting a lot of focus now. So can you share what Aditya Birla Capital is doing to, one, improve its gender ratio, and two, in terms of practices and initiatives, what are the things Aditya Birla Capital as an organization is doing to be an employer of choice for women?
So the first thing, Anupama, we were very clear, DNI is just not an initiative. It is a function by itself. Very, very clear. So we are resting on three basic principles. One is your talent acquisition. Your supply has to be, you should have enough supply. And then you have to have great talent management practices. And third is culture. The culture is the first, but these are three big pillars that we are looking at. So in the talent management, yes, you are looking definitely at your campus, and in campus, to ensure that women who are, doing their MBAs, they have taken sabbaticals, we are ensuring that they have the second career in place. And then we are looking for, rightly as you said, women who want to, ensure that what is the time that they can give. So you are looking at flexi, you are looking at gig, you're also looking at cyclical jobs. Few jobs are usually during the year end, month end. Those kind of
Right.
jobs are looking. So the
Right.
organization has to ensure how will you manage this entire talent workforce. One is your full time, one is your gig, one is your cyclical, one is again a very niche kind of jobs. I think that entire thing we are focusing on how do we manage and leverage. In talent management, we have identified fast track programs for high potential women. We
Right.
invest a lot in them, and we ensure that they participate in a lot of developmental programs. And in talent management, we are very clear what is the job opportunity you are going to give for a high potential women. Of course, the underlying pinning principle is on meritocracy only.
Right.
That
Of course.
then coming back, see, you may do all this, you may hire women, you may give opportunities, but unless the entire organization, that is, if you not look at inclusion, this will fail. So you have to
Yes.
sensitize managers.
Right.
How
That's a
do
big
they
part.
exactly, how do A, sensitize managers, B, how do you help them handle different workforce? It's just not going to be only women, it will be flexi, it will be gig, it will be people with PWD.
Right.
So you have a lot of communication has to go around, and you need a lot of role models who will walk the talk. It's not going to be easy.
Right. It's definitely not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought up the subject of managers because, whether, so there are two things. One is that we want to change the mindsets, right? We want to talk about inclusion and create that kind of cultures in our organizations, in our societies. The other is that we want to do and create whatever flexibility is possible in the system, like you said, gig jobs, cyclical jobs, which enable more women to take on economic independence. Now, my question is that somewhere the two of these have to merge. And I believe through my work in the research that we have done with Reboot, that men, whether at work or at home or in society, play a large part in this whole gender equality puzzle. So, what do you think? How can male allies at work play a role in this?
Yeah. The first thing we are very, very clear, Anupama, it's nothing men versus women. Yeah. So, however, they have to become the spokesperson. They have to become the ambassadors. You have to walk the talk. So if you look at all our CEOs and all our functional heads, they are leading this. See, HR can facilitate this. HR cannot become accountable without the CEO, without the CEO's mandate, without the function head mandates. This cannot happen. I may bring in the quota system. That is a very different thing. But if they will say that these many opportunities we need to provide, because we're looking at potential, and we're looking at potential at meritocracy.
Right.
So until they will not talk, unless they will not become a role model, it will become a good to feel conversation that you and I are having about. So
Absolutely.
most of the CEOs now are spearheading this entire initiative. They are saying these many roles. If we are not going to look at it, then we'll earmark, which
Absolutely.
that should be the second step. So the CEOs and the functional heads are walking the talk.
That's great to hear because worldwide there's also this notion that diversity and inclusion in organizations should actually rest with the business and not with HR.
Exactly.
With the right goals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you spoke about men versus women. And again, thanks to the research at Reboot, we realized this. And when we launched something called Equal Half in 2018, which is really a safe space where men can also engage in conversations on gender equality, because we firmly believe that it's not as if men and women are standing on two opposite sides. They are together. And there's a secret to achieving the 50-50 world, as United Nations calls it, is actually if men are in the room. There is no point preaching to the converted. What you have to do is engage more men and bring them into understanding what is it that we are talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's not men versus women at all. And yeah, clearly men can play a big role. And since organizations today are largely male dominated, especially at leadership in India, when we talk about managers, we are typically talking about men, isn't it?
Yeah. 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 So,
Correct.
Anupama, next 30 seconds here, I think once the COVID struck, the apart from the conversations that the CEOs were having to employees, the first thing they spoke is about, please they started thanking the women workforce, the women, the spouses. They said, because of y'all, your husbands are able to log in on time, y'all are taking care, so thank you very much. So that's the first message our CEO gave to all our men folk spouses. That's the biggest thing. And they said it's okay if the kid walks in when y'all are having a meeting, because we are intruding into their personal spaces. So that's
Absolutely.
comfort, that the CEOs across ABC gave to the men folk,
That's
because they sensitize men.
right. So that is the one thing we have to be thankful to COVID for, right?
Uh,
Uh, it brought about this whole concept of what goes on. I call it behind, backstage production. A house is a backstage production. Whatever. So many things have to converge together for people to be able to leave for work in the morning, isn't it?
yeah.
We women know that so well. So yeah, absolutely. We are very thankful to COVID for making people realize what women do at home, and also to take work from home seriously.
Yeah.
So, do you
Absolutely.
think that work from home is changing the dynamics for women? Is it helping, or is it going to make it harder?
See, work from home is fine as long as she receives support internally and externally. Tell me, for example, in one of a team member who just had her second child, she can't leave the child in daycare because daycare is not yet open.
Right.
Yeah. So, and she wants to come back to work. So she had multiple conversations, of course, with her husband, and they decided, yes, guys, I know 2 days you will take care, and that's how they have shared. But
Yeah.
that Anupama came because of the multiple conversations that the organization were having
Yes.
with the employees and just not the women here.
Absolutely, absolutely. That makes a lot of difference. And the organizations, like you said, if they also play their part, only then can everybody sustain their careers. And that is also the reason I read a report that in the US, 275 million women have given up work in January, by January. And that's because their system, their society is heavily daycare dependent, unlike.
Yes. Yeah.
So great. So tell me, women leaders like you, what do you choose to challenge? And choose to challenge is the theme for International Women's Day this year. So what do you choose to challenge? Talk about that.
You know, if you ask, I will say there's nothing called women leaders. We just need to have leaders. Can we just move beyond gender and only look at the purpose? The minute you are saying gender and potential and progress, they don't talk to each other. I'm saying, what is the purpose that we are all there in? Can the organization give all those enablers for me to be successful? And secondly, it is the individual, Anupama. It is finally the individual. Many times in life, you have to stand alone if you think you're very clear that this is the purpose you want. And here, let me share my personal story of my PhD. As usual, my PhD went for 4 years, and exactly 4 months before I, submitting my PhD presentation, my husband got a job in Bombay. My kids were still small, and he said, is it okay that you'll come and see the house in Bombay? I said, it was very tough decision. I said, I'm sorry. What you will do is you will go settle down, you will get admission for the kids, and you will take both the kids. I have to complete my 4 months, 4 years of hard work. I cannot, once I come there, I know I will get stuck. I said, you figure it out. I had to put a stone on my heart, and trust me, he had to take both the kids. I only had two conditions. I said, wherever you're taking a flat in Bombay, ensure the school, and besides the school, there should be a pharmacy so that first aid is taken care. These are the only two conditions: 1 BHK, half BHK, 2 BHK. I am not bothered. School, pharmacy, house. This should be within 200, 300 meters. I left
That's
them. So, Mama, it was not an easy decision. So, when you
how
have
I
purpose,
do it.
so, I don't want to blame my circumstances.
Of
When you
course.
have very clearly this is what you want to achieve, there will be times that you have to stand alone. Have that perseverance to stand alone. And it is not gender, I'm telling you. You will figure your way out. So, I would like to move above gender and say, yeah, let's achieve what we are set for.
That's amazing. So you want to choose to challenge to take out these labels.
Yes.
That's a great, great note to end this conversation on, Dr. Sujatha. Thanks so much. I'd
Thank
like
you.
to ask if we have any questions from the audience now. Yeah, I did see some questions earlier. I'm not sure if they are here now. Let me quickly check. Right. So typically the questions we get is about the challenges that women are facing. Given that, especially in my community, we talk a lot about return to work uh, challenges. How do you find jobs, especially outside of return to work programs? Because the return to work cohorts typically are very small in numbers. So, how do you figure that out? What do
Okay.
you think, Sujatha?
Yeah, I think Anupama, for example, we have, organizations like Reboot, which is there, which is typically helping women to come back to work. That's why I said two, three things are critical. How will you upskill yourself? Because in the last 1 year, the complexity of the jobs have changed. Thanks to MS Teams, one of Jyoti yesterday was saying, I never knew MS Teams was existing, though it was there on my laptop, and today it's all about MS Team. I think definitely there are organizations which will ensure that you will upskill yourself. It's very important to keep upskilling yourself and moving to the next capability level. And second, networking. There are organizations which are supporting for women to come back, because organizations have found that women who return from sabbatical are much more loyal and much more engaged.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. They're committed. In
Yes.
fact, they have something to prove.
Yes.
So, yeah, yeah. So I see this question here from someone, from Anaga, I think. Why are women refusing or unable to enter the labor force in urban areas where higher wage and higher skilled jobs are available in greater numbers?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because even the research that I read was that women in urban areas have lost lots of jobs, because most of the things were outsourced for the women. So she would leave the child in the daycare center. She had a cook. She had somebody else coming and taking care of her elderly parents. Now all the three things, now because of this situation, these are, you can't leave your child in the daycare. You can't trust somebody to come and take care of your elderly people at home. That is why organizations cannot give traditional jobs. They have to
Correct.
give flexibility for the women to work from home at her convenience. So you should look at the productivity and output and not stick to timings. And there are organizations which are looking for such kind of potential.
Right, absolutely. I think I'm a big believer of eight. There's nothing sort of carved in stone that you have to start at 9 and you have to end at 7. I'm a firm believer of 8, 8, 8, and that's sleeping for 8 hours, or and spending 8 hours in the house or related to the house and family, and 8 hours at work. And anything else, any other combination is bound to disrupt the equilibrium of human life. So
Yeah.
yes, I completely agree there. The other question I see is, do you think services such as, just a second, I'll show you this question. Do you think services such as the proximate services, safe transportation, migration, counseling will help more women in workforce? Or do you see a mandate of number of women companies should help hire more women?
Yeah. So, for example, in our organization, what we did, we started working quite early, Anupama. I think by last May itself, we started working. So, two, three things we ensured. Our employees, especially in Mumbai, where we depend on train, we ensured that they have buses which we organized, taking care of all the compliance and safety perspective. And secondly, we had a lot of mental health sessions for men and women and their kids, so that because there was a lot of burnout that was happening, so we provide these counseling services also. And thirdly, what we definitely did was, I think our entire talent management myth got broken, that you have to be mobile if you want to be, get opportunities. We said no. We will ensure that if there is a role and that is from a different geography, as long as you are talented and potential, you will get this opportunity. So we provided the services also for women.
Right, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I see a question about work from home again, which is, do you see it becoming a commonplace that work from home will be mandated by companies? Because of the impact of COVID, are organizations really looking at keeping some parts of their business work from home enabled?
Yeah, so again, it depends on the role. For example, there will be roles, and it is again the choice. of the organization and the individual. There are some roles that you can work from home. You can work from home, but those organizations also say weekly once or once in 15 days you want to come to your nearest branch, you can. And of course, there are some roles where we'll take a balance call of saying, yeah, 3 days work from home, 2 days you can come to office. So it depends, I think, primarily on the role and then the choice of the individual.
That's amazing. Does Aditya Birla Capital have a return to work program?
Yes, we have started our ABC return back
Yes.
program. Yeah, we have started that. And our CEOs, in fact, mentor when women are going through their, studies. Then we go mentor them and we give them projects so that they start feeling very comfortable, and then we absorb them.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for this session, Dr. Sujatha. Any last few words, as they say, that you would like to share with us?
Yeah. So I would say, yes, we will have challenges, and that's how it's been. But every challenge will make you stronger. This is not gyan that I'm giving you, and a woman is capable much more of what she presumes she. So it's very important to have your purpose and your perseverance to achieve your purpose. Don't blame circumstances. You can rise above your circumstances.
That's so true, and I hope that inspires many women who are on the cusp of taking the step to get back to work. Thank you so much, Dr. Sujatha. It was lovely
Thank
speaking.
Pleasure meeting you all. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks everyone for